The sea was flat, an endless expanse of blue, a sheet of dark blue glass under a lazy sun, reflecting the sky in perfect, undisturbed harmony. On the deck of the USS Arleigh Burke, life moved at a steady, predictable pace. The air was thick with salt and diesel, a familiar scent that permeated everything. Sailors moved through their routines, each action precise and practiced. Deep within the ship, engines hummed quietly, a constant reassuring thrum. It was peaceful, almost boring, a lull in the endless cycle of watch and maintenance. This patch of the South China Sea felt like any other day, unremarkable and serene. Endless water, endless sky, a seemingly infinite horizon that offered no hint of what was to come. But that's when danger is closest, lurking just beneath the surface of the ordinary. When nothing seems to happen, when complacency can become your greatest enemy. Out there, beyond the horizon, something new was coming, something unseen and unexpected. Not a storm, not another navy. Something silent, something far more insidious. The crew was trained for missiles, for conventional warfare. Submarines, jets, the threats they knew and understood, threats you can see and hear, threats that announce their presence with fire and fury. But the future doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it just appears without warning or fanfare. Silently, suddenly, a ghost in the machine, with devastating consequences, changing the very nature of conflict. On the bridge, the captain watched the radar, his gaze steady and unwavering. Nothing but empty ocean, a blank canvas of potential danger. He sipped lukewarm coffee, the mood as flat as the sea, a moment of quiet before the storm. Then, a blip appeared, a tiny anomaly in the vast emptiness. Too small for a plane, too fast for a boat, defying easy categorization. The radar operator leaned in, thinking it was a glitch, a trick of the equipment. But then another blip, and another, multiplying rapidly. Within seconds, the screen filled with a cloud of unknowns, an impossible swarm, all heading straight for them, an undeniable threat on a collision course. The peace shattered, replaced by the jarring clang of alarms. The boring day was over, replaced by a desperate scramble for survival. The rulebook of war was about to be rewritten in real time, with their lives on the line. The Arleigh Burke was about to face a new kind of enemy, one they were utterly unprepared for. The crew braced for the unknown, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and determination. The storm had arrived, and it was unlike anything they had ever seen. This wasn't in the training manuals. No chapter prepared them for this. The drills, the simulations, the endless hours of study, none of it accounted for what they were about to face. This was beyond the scope of conventional warfare. They'd heard of drones. Big, slow, easy to shoot down. The kind you see in movies, lumbering giants ripe for targeting. But this was different. This was something new, something unsettling. This was a swarm, an organized collective moving with a purpose. Hundreds, maybe thousands of small, cheap, disposable machines, designed for one purpose and one purpose only. Each no bigger than a dinner plate, nearly invisible to radar, slipping through the net undetected until it was too late. They didn't carry big bombs, they didn't need to. Precision was the key. They worked together, like a pack of wolves or a swarm of hornets, relentless, stinging, overwhelming. One is an annoyance. 1,000 is a catastrophe, a force multiplier unlike anything they'd ever imagined. The world had seen China's drone light shows and called them toys. That was a mistake. A fatal miscalculation. These were weapons, coordinated, intelligent, relentless. Each drone talked to the others, sharing information, making decisions as a group, a hive mind in the sky. No leader, no single point of failure. Shoot one down, the swarm adapts, it reorganizes, keeps coming, learns, a thinking cloud of death built to overwhelm and confuse. On the Arleigh Burke, alarms screamed. Sailors scrambled to battle stations, every second counted. The calm was gone, replaced by dread. A cold, creeping fear that settled deep in their bones. They were facing an enemy that wasn't a ship or a plane. It was an idea made real, a nightmare taking flight, a ghost in the machine about to knock on their door. The crew realized this was war without rules. The future had arrived and it was coming for them. The fight for survival had begun, a desperate struggle against an enemy they barely understood. The first wave hit without a sound, an almost imperceptible ripple in the air, just sharp thuds like hail on metal, a staccato rhythm of impacts that quickly escalated. The drones weren't trying to sink the ship, not yet. They were blinding it, systematically shutting down its senses. Dozens slammed into sensors, radars, the ship's eyes and ears on the world. Antennas snapped and twisted, rendered useless. Anything that let the ship see or communicate with the outside world was targeted with ruthless precision. Each impact was a pinprick, seemingly insignificant on its own, but 1,000 pinpricks can kill, slowly draining the life from a giant. On the bridge, screens went blank, flickering and dying. One by one, the digital eyes of the ship were extinguished. The captain was sailing blind, adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Surrounded by an enemy he couldn't see, a threat that existed only as a feeling, a growing dread. He could hear them, though, a high-pitched buzzing, a relentless drone that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The ship's defenses roared to life, a desperate attempt to push back the darkness. Gatling guns spitting tracers into the sky, painting fleeting lines of light against the encroaching swarm. They shredded dozens of drones, vaporizing them in bursts of fire. But it was like trying to stop the tide with a bucket. A futile gesture against an overwhelming force. For every drone destroyed, another took its place. 10 more took its place, an endless wave of machines. The swarm flowed around the bullets, an intelligent, adaptive entity. Absorbing damage, pressing on with relentless determination. Panic set in, a cold dread that spread through the ship like a virus. The crew was trained for clear targets, for defined enemies, not a fog of machines. An enemy that was everywhere and nowhere. How do you fight a ghost? How do you defend against something you can't even see properly? The most advanced warship ever built, a symbol of power and invincibility, was being taken apart by what looked like toys, by swarms of buzzing insects. Helplessness spread, a feeling of utter powerlessness, a giant blinded, stung by 1,000 needles, slowly succumbing to the swarm. The rules of engagement had vanished, replaced by a new terrifying reality. This was something new, a paradigm shift in warfare. Something terrifying, a glimpse into a future where swarms rule the battlefield. The crew realized, with growing horror, their fortress was vulnerable, their invincibility a myth. The enemy was everywhere and nowhere, an omnipresent threat. The attack was just beginning, the swarm was only getting started. The Arleigh Burke was losing the fight, its defenses crumbling under the relentless assault. The future of war was here, and it was terrifying. The captain gripped the railing, knuckles white. "Get me a visual," he barked. A young officer, hands shaking, peered through binoculars. He saw a shimmering cloud enveloping the ship, some drones attacking, others just watching. The swarm was learning, adapting, streaming live video back to its controller. The captain realized he was losing control, and for the first time he had no plan. On deck, chaos reigned. Sailors fired rifles into the sky, futile against the swarm. The drones were too small, too fast, too many. Fear set in. This wasn't combat, it was an infestation. The psychological toll was immense, the buzzing was inescapable. Then the second wave came, drones with larger charges targeting the ship's vital organs. The men could only watch as their warship was dismantled, piece by piece. How does a swarm work? Like a flock of birds. No leader, just simple rules. Each drone follows basic instructions, communicating with neighbors, acting as a hive mind. The swarm is decentralized, cheap and disposable. Lose half, the rest keep going. It's a war of attrition a modern navy can't win. Soon swarms will be fully autonomous, launched from anywhere, hunting and attacking on their own. The age of the drone swarm is here, and it's terrifying. As the sun set on the burning Arleigh Burke, the world watched in real time. The age of the mighty warship was over, ended by a cloud of cheap, intelligent plastic. Naval supremacy is now obsolete. The ocean is a hunting ground for swarms. The future belongs to fleets of smaller, faster, semi-autonomous vessels. Swarm against swarm, the human sailor may become a liability. Wars of the future will be fought by machines at the speed of algorithms. The Arleigh Burke's fate is a warning. The nature of war has changed forever. The age of the drone has begun, spectacular and terrible.